For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of the Tuesday practice leading up to the Oregon State game. And I think what everyone's concerned about, the injury report. So to start it off, I'm just going to read who participated and who didn't participate in practice today. So players who did not practice were Stephen Carr, Chima Edoga, Vianney Talmaivao, Rasheem Green, Jalen Green, Jordan Iosefa, Marlon Tuipulotu, and Porter Gustin. Now, people who did get some work, Toa Lobendon was a full participant. Heldon said that he got significant work as well as Stephen Mitchell. And then Keely Eure did not finish practice for some reason that we don't know. It was not specified.
It was not. And so not sure there. And the guys who didn't participate were in different categories. Vianney, for example, kind of came out there bouncy, running, looking pretty good with a hoodie on and not, no pads. Yeah. Daniel Madrebaby caught some passes, didn't have his shoulder pads on, did have a helmet on. And got into some of the, specialty passing with the quarterbacks and the other tight ends. Let's see, Jalen Green and Jordan Iosefa definitely not allowed to do anything. I think the biggest surprise was Toa, considering he spent 4 days in the hospital last week. He went through Tuesday's practice, didn't make it Wednesday, and then was there through Saturday, hooked up to IVs and still got the place on his knee where the staph infection, he had a cut and got a staph infection. Usually you get that from equipment. He said, he thinks he got it from somewhere on the turf, and he said that's the only thing he does when he stretches out. He said that's probably the only way I could have gotten it, but I don't think they caught it. They caught it quickly, so he didn't lose any tissue. They just had to, get all the infection out of there, but he lost, I guess, about 4 pounds, but looked pretty good today. Looked like, he's back in at left tackle on the, first offensive line. So basically, you're just going with the 2 new guys at right guard, Andrew Voies, and right tackle, Clayton Johnston. Austin Jackson is the backup. But we didn't see Stephen Carr, did not see Chuma Edoga. I'm guessing both of them are still in boots. Stephen for sure is in a boot. Clay seemed to have no hope for Stephen this week. Who else did we not see? I'm trying to think.
Vianney Talmaivao. And Helton said that he's getting a MRI soon with this, and he's going to go with his family with the doctors and see what his options are.
Right. I mean, do you, if you have surgery, that's obviously it for the season. Do you try to rehab? Is it close enough to be able to be rehabable? And even if you don't get back for the season, maybe you get back for the NFL stuff and all that. I think he's got some difficult decisions, and the doctors that MRI on the pectoral muscle. I don't know how absolute that they can be, certain there. My guess would be he'll probably try to rehab and just hope that rather than throw unless they get a diagnosis that says there's no possible way, and you might as well start getting it better now, and that could happen too. So that's a difficult call. Mm-hmm.
Given how it felt on Friday for USC fans, almost apocalyptic with how many injuries were happening, where would you say the team is right now injury-wise?
Well, I think if you're going to have those kinds of injuries, this probably is a good week. You're back home. You're playing Oregon State, who also has, they've been off to a bad start, and they've got a lot of injuries. And it gives you a chance. You've been wanting to get in, the Andrew Voies and Austin Jackson and Clayton Johnston. You've been wanting to really give Tyler Vaughns a chance. You've been wanting to do some of those things. The one you wish is that Stephen Carr had the ability to be back and take advantage of these next couple of games, which I would guess he's maybe not. But as far as the offensive line's concerned, I think this is a good thing to be able to give them a chance. On the defensive line, you've got both Malik Thornton and Josh Fatu. We're out there in pads and with knee braces on their sprained knees. But I think this gives you some real momentum to say, Brandon Peely, we got to give him a chance to get out there.
Really? We're in the redshirt, the potential redshirt that's happening?
I think if those kids have the kind of career you think they could have, they won't be here for the 5th year anyway. So if you're thinking not a 4-year guy, you probably ought to play him. But again, this is a week, when you really make that decision. Marlon Tuipulotu not in pads, was out there. We're not sure how significant that back injury was.
Yeah.
We didn't know about that until he didn't appear. Although we also weren't told about Toa, and he wasn't at practice, and he didn't make the injury list either. He was in a hospital, and he didn't make the injury list. So we probably aren't always going to depend on what we're told as the final word on the injury list.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that was called into question on Friday was the play calling. We got to talk to Clay Helton, and he said, "I stand by my team. Obviously, he said, I'm not gonna BS you. There's issues that need to be fixed, but I stand by Tyson. I stand by T." And we got to talk to both of them today. What did T have to say?
He's happy with the game plan. He's been happy with every one of them since Alabama, he said. And
he didn't like Alabama, he said.
But he said they all agree, and they're happy. I mean, I tried to, for example, I wanted to know, how could you not, you go a whole game and you don't throw a single pass, you don't complete a single pass to the tight end or any running backs? How does that happen, against that defense? And they don't have really good answers as to how that happened. It just kind of happened, they say. You probably can't get yourself into games where stuff like that just happens. It just, it looked like, and I used the term grab bag, where they just, coaches, sometimes they grab this play out of the bag, and then they grab that play, and they grab that play over here, and then they grab that play. And it doesn't look like there's a flow, a rhythm to what they're doing. That's what it kind of looked like. That Washington State looked like they had most of the answers, and whatever USC was trying, they were a step ahead of them, both offense and defense. And then they get to the goal line, and had USC been able to get that touchdown when they get the ball inside the 3-yard line after Chenna's interception, they're up 21-10. It's a whole different ball game. They don't score a touchdown there. They're only up 17-10, and a one-score game is a whole different game, especially when you're on the road. And they have to figure some things out. They have an explanation, for example, what they were trying to do on the second down pass to Josh Fallow, who, almost hasn't been targeted at all this year. And here you're on the goal line in this really crucial situation, and his eye contact with Sam, it's the eye contact that Sam thought he had with Josh wasn't really what should have happened and what they were really seeing. They weren't seeing the same thing. And Sam tries to drill the ball immediately because he thinks, okay, he's made eye contact, he's ready. He wasn't ready, and he wasn't there. Yeah. And they changed the play that might have given him a chance. They've got a 6'5", wide receiver on a, cornerback that's like 5'10" or 5'11", and they might have had the advantage if they ran the fade. Just all those kinds of things. There was a whole lot of those things happening, and none of them to USC's benefit. They are still kind of upbeat, but I'm not sure. T keeps saying that they like the game plan, they like the play calls. You just have to execute. So that looks a little bit like, is that on the coaches in practice to not get them to where they have to execute, or is that on the players in the games? I don't know, but I thought they had one of those practices that Clay evaluated the same way. I thought it was very businesslike, and there wasn't any happy talk, and there wasn't any, it was a serious practice today. And they were in full pads, so that's always a plus. How it develops the rest of the week, we'll see. But I thought it was a good practice. I thought they tried to do, the kinds of things they needed to do with the people they needed to do them with. Now, does that play out on Saturday? I don't think we know, but I like their approach today.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned execution. Talking to Tyson Helton, he said that Sam hasn't changed. He's still the same player we've seen. How much does that mean the wide receivers are causing a little bit of doubt or trouble for Sam, and how instinctual he is? You mentioned the follow play. If it's a different wide receiver, maybe there's different chemistry, and that's a touchdown, There's
no question. There is different chemistry, and that's what this whole year has been about, is developing that chemistry. And some people have made the point that because of his fame and the fact that he spent a week at the Manning Passing Academy, spent a week at Nike this summer, that they had only one PRP a week, not two like they did last year. has that chemistry not been built up with those young guys? I don't know. I mean, I think that's an interesting question, and they're still trying to build up chemistry. Now, today, for example, there's more attention to Josh and Matterbaby, and there, as there has been, part of last week and this week. But you can still see, and they're hoping that Jody Lewis becomes more, on the same page with Sam. And they're very excited that Tyler Vaughn seems to be on the same page with him. But that's a big part of what this out. I think your point there about an instinctual Sam is really good. And those instincts don't seem to be working for Sam's benefit or USC's benefit right now.
Mm-hmm. Not to put down Oregon State, but they're a team that's not necessarily the caliber that USC has been playing up until this point. How is it helpful for USC to kind of right the ship this week against an opponent like them?
I think it fits in with the theme, which Clay said he just talked to him about, was this is all about you guys. This is about us. This is about USC. It's not to get all involved in who we're playing, but how do we play, Clay is telling them. And I think that probably is a good thing, where you don't focus all that much on the team you're playing. You focus on yourself this week. You get yourself, together and get going in the right direction. So, this may be one of those moments where they're exactly the right opponent, where you can just say, we're going to take care of ourselves and get us where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Tuesday practice leading up to Oregon State. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.